2 bullets. One for him, one for me. In case of dire. 2 for me, 2 for me. So, recently for stream, I decided to play Amnesia the Bunker, the latest game in the Amnesia series, and the only Amnesia game I have ever played, which went about as well as you would expect. You don't see me, do you? Fuck. Now, normally, I would have no interest in a horror game like this, mainly because when it comes to traditional horror games, I'm an absolute coward who gets scared shitless at the first sight of danger. Case in point being that years ago, when Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion was just a downloadable game from some random sharing site, I played it for fun since it looked innocent enough, only to quit the game and cry myself in a corner over the scary ink man who travels at half your movement speed and disappears after the first 10 rooms. However, for the sake of content, and also because the game gives you a gun, I decided to put aside my fear and give it a shot. Now, just because I am scared of traditional horror games doesn't mean I'm scared of the genre as a whole. I love playing the Outlast Trials with friends, and have even done a number of runs solo, and I'm also a big fan of the Resident Evil series and survival horror, which is why I figured this would be fun because the aforementioned gun signified to me that this was going to be a cool survival horror game, where you fend off the monster while completing objectives. This was not at all a typical survival horror game. Now, I'm not outright saying that this isn't survival horror, because it is. In fact, the game kind of needs it to be for the setting to even work. You are a soldier who, after rescuing your friend from a sinkhole, gets hit by shrapnel to the back of the head, causing you to lose your memory and get stuck in a coma for a few days, whereupon you wake up in a bunker where shit has really hit the fan. Of course, there will be ammo and weapons available. It's a goddamn bunker. The problem is that since you wake up late to the party and pretty much everyone is already dead, they've already used everything trying to stay alive. As a result, you as the player are heavily reliant on the few resources given to you, and are limited both by their scarcity and your own inventory space, which plays heavily into the survival aspect in survival horror. And it does a damn good job at its survival portion too, as you need to balance your need for bandages, weapons, gasoline, and key items, all of which you will need and run out of at some point. But the one key thing about this is that while in a regular survival horror game, you can run by enemies and stack up lots of resources, when you really need them, you cannot just run from the beast that follows you in Amnesia. You see, the beast is very unique for a survival horror game in that it not only is immune to bullets, but also fire, explosives, and chemical weaponry. Sure, it might get stunned for a bit or hide from you for a couple of minutes, but the beast is always there, watching and waiting for the right moment to pop out and give you the snuggle struggle. Okay. On top of that, the beast not only hears all of your movement, but also the cranking of your flashlight, hissing of meat rats, and the screams you make when said meat rats decide to eat you instead of the corpses. And as if that weren't bad enough, it smells your blood if you aren't at full health, making it not just intimidating to deal with, but also a constant threat no matter where you are. Thankfully, apart from its exceptional instincts, the beast isn't very smart, as even though I am somehow unable to make even the most basic grenade throws to save my life, really, it will, in a number of cases, walk into clouds of chlorine gas, bang its head trying to crawl out of holes, and ram through tripwires, randomly setting itself on fire. Which makes it even more terrifying when it flees from danger directly into you and almost kills you in the process. Now, apart from the ever-present danger of the beast, what else separates this from a regular survival horror game? Well, for starters, the items in the game are randomized apart from certain key items, meaning that on your first playthrough you can go hours without finding a single bullet, to a new playthrough, where you have not only a full cylinder, but also enough shotgun shells to roleplay the Doomslayer whenever the beast starts to hunt you. Instead, on the second playthrough, where the beast can't even come close to touching you, you will be unable to find a single stick to make a torch so you can crawl through this tunnel without being mauled by the swarms of meat rats. On top of the vague roguelike elements of randomized items, there is also a generator which powers the bunker. Why does this matter? Because to have any light in the bunker besides your hand crank flashlight, you need to have gas in the generator. And depending on your difficulty setting, you can fill this up once and not have to worry about it for half the game, or have to come back every 5 minutes because it guzzles more gas than a Ford F-150 riding your ass on the interstate. And while it technically is just another survival aspect of the game, I feel it's worth mentioning since it's pretty unique, at least from the horror games that I've played. But there is one more thing in particular that makes this game stand out. Something that if you play the game yourself, you probably won't even realize. Despite all of its trappings in survival horror, I couldn't help but stare at the map on my second playthrough and think to myself, this map really isn't linear. And in fact, once I get out of the first area, I can technically go to anywhere I want, find different items, locker codes, or upgrades, apart from the key items, of course. But now that I think about it, Ah, fuck, it's another goddamn Metroidvania. Yeah, here I was planning to make a video about a horror game that I thought was unique, cool, and I'm just making another video about a Metroidvania. Now, before you click off and call me out in the comments for making insane conspiracy theory style claims to connect this game to a completely different genre, hear me out. I completely understand that this connection is coincidental. However, just because it's a coincidence that this game has all the elements of Metroidvania, doesn't mean that it isn't one. In fact, it connects so well to the genre it's even more impressive how it is just a coincidence. Let's start with the map I mentioned before. To start, you have a central hub area of the bunker, which acts mostly as a base for you as you search through the areas for the two key items you need, dynamite and a plunger. It has 4 offshoots that open up to you once you find the wheel to release the emergency lockdown of the bunker. From there, you have free reign to explore any of these 4 offshoots. Except, this is also a fucking lie. You see, you can go to the arsenal right away, which is where both the dynamite and plunger are located, but you'll quickly be cut off, as to get to the dynamite, you need a special door code, and to get to the plunger, you need to get the bolt cutters. This puts you on a chase where you will be running back and forth across the different areas as you do your best to dodge the beast, trying to find the necessary items to access both locked side rooms, and progress the story, which is literally just the gameplay cycle of a Metroidvania. Then on top of that, there's the progression items. While you can get the door code from the start of the game, the pathway to get it has flesh-eating rats, traps, and of course, the ever-looming danger of the beast blocking your way. So it is a much better idea to work towards getting the bolt cutters first. How do you get to the bolt cutters? Well, first, you need to get the code to the locker that contains the lighter, a progression item that allows you to use torches and molotovs, both of which are used to deal with rats that block narrow passageways all over the map, and most importantly, it allows you to crawl through this rat tunnel without being eaten alive. This rat tunnel leads you to the beast's nest and the pillbox, where after a quick search of the beast's nest, you can get into the pillbox, which has the special wrench. What does the special wrench do? Well, it allows you to remove grates blocking certain side rooms that contain locker codes, upgrades, or even the near unlimited supply of bottles, which when paired with a certain unlimited container of gasoline behind the previously mentioned rat tunnel, allows you to not only make enough molotovs to make a Russian cry, but also fill your generators so you can see more than 5 minutes at a time. On top of all the side stuff, it also gets you access to the bolt cutters, which allows you to break the chains off of locked doors and also disarm traps and take the grenades. You know what other type of game gives you upgrades to access both side areas and further progress the story? Yeah, that's right. Metroidvanias. Well anyways, that's enough rambling for now. I'll leave you with this. If you enjoy Metroidvanias and stomach horror games, give this game a try. As even though I went through the general progression route, there's still a fair amount you can find on your own, both in the story and in game mechanics that I didn't mention and didn't find myself when I played through the game. If you liked the video, well, then you know the spiel. And consider following me on Twitch, which is where I record the troubles and horrors I choose to put myself through. This video turned out much shorter than expected, so I'll be back with a much longer video next time. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all again when I arrive back from my next trip into a hell of my own making.